shoot, that didn't turn it off. Hey, what's up, book lovers and Hey, what's up, book lovers and friends? My name is Dana. Hey, what's up, book lovers and friends? My name is Dana, and welcome to my channel, Dainty Reads, where we're just gonna give the tea on all the things that we're reading, okay? So this is my first video, so I can't say welcome back to my channel, but welcome to my channel. I hope that you'll like and subscribe and hang out with me. We're just gonna have some fun talking about some books, and we're just gonna give the tea on, I say that all the time, we're just gonna give the tea on stuff. So we're gonna give the tea on the books that we're reading. So you're gonna see a bunch of different things that we'll talk about. Also do some videos with my daughter, London. She's 5 and she's into reading right now. So hopefully we're gonna cultivate that. And she's gonna come on here and talk about some of the books that she's reading and some of the things that she loves. It's gonna probably be a lot of Frozen, so just kind of prepare yourself. So anyway, yeah, so just want you to hang out with me. It's just gonna be a lot of fun, and leave comments. Let me know that you were here. Share, like, subscribe, the whole nine. You know, everything that they say to do with the books, with YouTube. Just do all that. All right, so first I want to do a December recap of some of the things that I read last month. This is January 3rd. So we're going to wrap up kind of what I read last month and then talk about my January TBR. So if you don't know what TBR is, it's the to be read. And I may not hit all of them, but we're definitely going to try. And one thing about me, I do read the physical books, the audiobooks, and ebooks. So if I can't get my hands on the physical one, it'll probably be audiobook or the ebook. So, you know, just join in. Maybe it's something that I'm going to talk about, something that you want to read, and hopefully this will kind of make you want to read it or make you not want to read it, because it's a couple I'm going to talk about I ain't really like. So I don't know, judge for yourself, I guess. But yeah, and also if there's something that you think I should read, let me know, because I will say that some of the genres that I'm not very familiar with is, well, fantasy and sci-fi. I don't read a lot of those, but I have been seeing that there are a lot of fantasy and sci-fi books that might interest me. So I'm going to, I've made it a thing for myself to read more Black authors and more fantasies / sci-fi each month. At least one book with both of those, each month. And that'll kind of expand me, because right now I read a lot of romance and mystery, suspense thrillers. And I want to kind of branch out and read some other stuff as well. So my December books that I did read One Day in December by Josie Silver. I was seeing a lot of people like, oh, you got to read this movie. You got to read this book. You got to read this book. It's so good. So I was like, well, let me give it a shot. It is December. It was the holiday season. So I did take a look at that. And basically it's about this girl who sees this guy. She's riding on a bus one day. She sees a guy. He's sitting at a bus stop or something like that. And it's like their eyes lock. And for a moment, it's just love at first sight. And so she spends like a year trying to find this guy. They were not able to speak. They were not able to, she wasn't able to get off the bus. He wasn't able to get on the bus. They were not able to do anything, but it was just that one look. And it was like, oh my God, I think I met the man of my dreams, my soulmate. And then she can't find him. She looks everywhere for years. She cannot find him. And I don't want to give the whole book away, but I think a lot of people have already read it. So spoiler alert. So if you haven't read it, skip over this part. Her best friend starts dating this guy, and she's like, you got to meet him. I'm in love with him. He's everything. He's this, he's that. He's just Mr. Wonderful. You have to meet him. She finally meets him over a year later, and it's the guy from the bus stop that day. It's her true love, so to speak. And it's at that moment she has to make the decision. Is she gonna say something, or are they just gonna, act like it doesn't exist? And so they choose not to. They choose not to tell the best friend. They don't say anything. And the best friend dates him for like years. And, life goes on. They move on. And 10 years pass, 10 years down the line, the main character has already been married. And now she's divorcing her husband. And this guy is still there. So I'm not going to tell the end, because I don't want to do that. Because I don't like when people tell me the end of things if I know that I'm going to read it. But it's a beautiful story. I was pleasantly surprised. It kept me very, very engaged. And I was just like, oh my God, what is going to happen? So if you haven't read it, if you don't mind reading holiday books all during the year, read One Day in December. Okay. Okay. The next book I read was Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. And I think going into this book, I had one thought and it ended up being like something completely different. So basically the main character, Enchanted, she's in high school. She has a really beautiful voice. Her parents have recently moved her to the suburbs, and she and her sister are in this new high school where there are not a lot of Black kids. And so it's kind of, what I can relate to, because I've always been at a school where it was predominantly white students. And so you're kind of always trying to find your spot and fit in, but still maintain who you are. And I think she deals with that. And so she wants to be a singer. She meets this musician. I can't remember if he was a singer or rapper now. I think he was a singer, but he was much older than her. And he kind of supposedly takes her under his wing. And it just goes awry very, very quickly. And spoiler alert here too, just gonna tell you, because this is the tea. Because this book really just kind of, it grinded my gears a lot. And I had to kind of just, all right, it's muddling through. It's a book. But the guy, what was his name? Gosh, I can't remember anybody's name right now. Anyway, the musician, the artist or whatever, he essentially like talks her. He's talking to her, and she's in high school. He's in his 20s, late 20s, and he's coming on to her. He can tell that she's vulnerable and she doesn't really know because she's a child, and he's just like preying on that. And yes, the entire book I was like, R. Kelly, R. Kelly, R. Kelly, okay, and R. Kelly, okay. It just put me in the mind of all the things that have been said about him. And a lot of these things were kind of mirrored in the book, where she goes on tour with him. He isolates her from her family, from her friends. He really does a whirlwind on her mind to the point where she cannot, like once she is able to get back with her family, she's still kind of in that mindset. She's scared. She thinks he's coming after her. And so many things end up happening as the book evolves. And it's good. I'm not going to front. It's a really good book. But I have a hard time with books that, where children are taken advantage of. And I put that on my Instagram. If you hadn't seen it, you can follow my Instagram too, Dainty Reads. And I'm talking about giving reviews and all that kind of stuff about these books and other books that I'll be reading. Sidebar, shameless plug, whatever, it's my channel. Anyway, but I just have a hard time dealing with books that give that deal with children like that. This is a long way around to say the book was good. It wasn't my favorite, but it was good. And at the end of the book, the author says she was not specifically talking about R. Kelly, but it was more so the fact that we as parents and as a society, we have to look out for our children, because there are people out there that are going to take advantage of them and that are going to try to prey on them. And so we just got to step it up. All right. Boom. So the next book was Allegedly, also by Tiffany D. Jackson. And this book is following a girl who's in a group home after being convicted of killing a 3-month-old baby. And this girl is Black, and the baby that was killed was a white baby. And her mom, the girl and her mother, were supposed to be babysitting the little baby. Mary is the main character, Mary and her mother. And so there's a whole lot going on there. And Mary stopped talking after it happened, and she was very trying to protect her mother. And throughout the whole book, you're trying to figure out what really happened that night at the house, because Mary is not really saying anything. Her mother has essentially like, oh, okay, you took the blame. You're going to go to jail. You're not going to be in there that long. If I were to go to jail, I would be in there for the rest of my life. I'll probably get the death sentence, but you can go in there, you'll stay for a couple years and come on out and you're fine. And she goes on with her life. She marries another man. She living life. She comes to see her daughter every 2 weeks. And her daughter is literally in these group homes getting beat down, like being tortured. And it's crazy. And so eventually Mary just decides, like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to tell the truth. And I want something better for myself. I want to go to college because she's apparently a genius. But there also comes into play mental health of Mary and her mother. So there are some things that pop up. There are probably some triggers because of the baby that was killed, and some of the things that Mary has to deal with because she finds herself pregnant as well. And one of the big concerns is what's going to happen to her baby. So allegedly, she keeps saying, like, in the book, she's like, but I killed this baby, allegedly. Like, I'm not saying that I did anything. It's allegedly. I ain't do it. I ain't do what they said I did, basically. So that's the tea on that one. Check it out if you want to. The next one. So for me personally, when I read some tough books, I need something light that's going to kind of cleanse my mental palate, if that makes sense. I say that all the time, but I need something to cleanse my palate because heavy hitters like that kind of take me to a place and I need something light. So I read the Marys Magnolia by Michelle Major. And this is actually the second book in the, Magnolia Sisters series. So essentially this man, this prominent artist, dies, and comes to find out he had two other daughters. Only one of them was like living with him, and they're in this small town, and comes to find out one of his daughters lives in the town, and she didn't know he was her daddy. She thought that, this other man that raised her was her father. And then there's another daughter who lived in another state, I believe. And they're basically, when the man dies, they're all brought together by his will. And so the first book we follow is the daughter that came from out of town. The second book is Marys Magnolia. And this is following Carrie, which is the daughter who he raised. And she's also an artist. And apparently, like, growing up, he really like, I don't want to say it. He downplayed her ability to paint because he wanted to be the main, he wanted everybody to be amazed by him and not by her. Because if people had realized how amazing she was, they wouldn't have been paying him any attention. So essentially the town basically was riding on his coattails, his shoulders. He was the attraction for people to come into like this little holiday town. What is it? What's the word? Just when you come and visit these small towns, and it's like the main attraction was him. So he started like not painting as much, so people stopped coming. And then when he died, there was like no reason for people to, really come to the town outside of the ones that were already living there. So the daughters felt it was their job to help bring the town back up, bring some more revenue into the town. And so that's what they've been trying to do. So Carrie she's starting to paint more, and she's just trying to do whatever they can to save this town. And in comes her first love out of nowhere. Like, where in the world did you come from? Here is the tea. So they fell in love when they were in high school, and her father apparently paid him off because he was like, I don't want you around my daughter, so go somewhere, and the dude took the check and left. Broke her heart. So anyway, here we are like 20 years later, and this guy comes back, and he's just like this successful businessman. He has this whole company that he's going to bring in and help revitalize the town. And he's basically like, your father was a jerk, and I'm going to tear down everything that he tried to build up. And she's like, bruh, like, seriously? Like, you ain't been here in 20 years, and suddenly you going to do all this? Okay. So he also brings his his cousin, whose parents had been killed in some sort of accident. And so there's all these different storylines that come along with that. But the book was good. I will say that. It's very short read, very easy, take you right on through. And so if you're looking for something light, this is also a holiday book because it's around the Christmas holiday. So yeah, check that out. So the next one, y'all, The Wives by Tarryn Fisher. Y'all, this book right here, all I'm saying, when I finished this book, I was like, everybody got what they deserved at the end of this book. This is polygamy, and I'm trying to make it so long, but this is polygamy. This is like deceit, revenge, mental issues. All of it was wrapped up in this book. So this girl, oh man, what's her name? I can't remember what her name is now. Wait. Thursday. Her name is Thursday, which I didn't pick up on until like the middle of the book, and I'll tell you why. So the man, Seth, I believe his name is, he has 3 wives, and he sees this one chick. He sees one girl on each, certain day that they have. So her day is Thursday. So he's calling her Thursday or saying Thursday throughout the book. And I thought he was just saying that because her day was Thursday, which I think was on purpose. Now that I think back, I think it was on purpose. But her real name is Thursday. So she's wife number 2. There's a wife 1 and then a wife 3. And wife 3 ends up getting pregnant. And so they've been living kind of in this situation where they know that she knows that they're the other wives, and she knows what her day is. And that's just that. Like, she's like, I just love him so much that I was willing to accept this. When I first met him, I was like, no, that's crazy. But I just love him. And so I'm going to take what I can get. Come on, sis. Don't sell yourself short like that for a man, sis. Anyway. So he leaves something in his pocket, and she realizes that it's concerning the other wife. And so she is like, oh, my interest is piqued. I always kind of wanted to know. And so she goes off on a quest to find out about the other wives. Why, sis? That was the downfall. That was the beginning of the end, okay? I am not going to tell y'all everything that happened on this because I want you to read it, but it was so good. And I will say, like I said, everybody in this book got what they deserve. Because you know what? You just can't do people wrong and think you're going to get away with it. Because it's not going to happen. That's not right. You can call it karma. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But you can't do people wrong and think that it's just going to all work out in the end. That ain't how life works. So read this book. The Wives, Tarryn Fisher. Read it. Okay. The next one I read was In the Holidaze, and this is by Christina Lauren. So a girl basically she does like this annual, these are all like Christmas, I did a lot of Christmas books because it was December, and that was like, I kept seeing them in my feed. So boom, here's another one. In the Holidaze, Daze. So this girl is with her family, and they do like this annual trip every year with a couple of other families, and they go to a cabin, and it's amazing. And they spend like the Christmas week there, and it's wonderful. She wakes up, at the beginning of the book, she wakes up and she has kissed one of the guys that's there. And it's not the guy that she's like been secretly in love with for like 15 years. It's his brother. And because they were drunk the night before, the brother sees it, and she's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever could happen. Then she finds out that they're going to sell the cabin that they've been going to. And she's like, oh my God, this is just the worst week, and blah, blah. And she prays to the universe, basically asking for her to be able to find out what she really loves. And she's like, I've messed up. Essentially, she's just saying, I messed up and I don't even know what to do with my life. Basically, I hate my job. I feel so stagnant. I'm stuck, whatever. Universe, help me to find out what I love. Help me to find what I should be doing. And suddenly she's living the same day over and over and trying to figure out how to move forward. And it's just like, it took me, this is a quick read, but I was just kind of like, what is really going on? I give it 3 stars. It was okay. It wasn't wonderful, but it was okay. So read it. I don't know. It might be your cup of tea. It wasn't really mine, but eventually she figures it all out. She, figures out how to keep going and stop repeating the same day over and over again. But I was just kind of like, 3 stars. Sorry, but this wasn't my favorite. Okay, so I read The Big Leap by Hendricks, and I'm going to look up because I don't want to give you the wrong information on this book. So The Big Leap, Conquering Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. And so the little quick spiel on the book says, go beyond your internal limits, release outdated fears, and learn a whole new set of powerful skills and habits to liberate your authentic greatness. So I wanted to give that because I don't want to not give the right information on the book, because this is kind of like not really one of those, this is like kind of like a self-help book, so I don't want to tell you the wrong information. But it's by Hendricks, and essentially he's gonna make you confront those things that you have made up in your mind, like I can't do this because, or the ways that we subtly self-sabotage ourselves and we're not even like realizing that we're doing it. And it's kind of like, he gives a lot of examples. And I have to say that I found myself a lot in this book. Like, wow, like I've really been letting my fear stop me from a lot of things. Sidebar, this is part of why I've decided to just like jump out here and do BookTube and Bookstagram and all that kind of stuff, because I kept trying to tell myself, oh, you can't do this. Nobody's gonna watch your videos, or, you know, just do what you normally do. I sing in church. I sing all the time, and that's just easy for me. And it's easy for me to just be like, oh, I'm only a singer. But it's not. I have more depth. There is more things to me, and I love books. And when I found the BookTube community on YouTube, I was like, oh my God, here are my people. I didn't even know you existed. And on books and Bookstagram, the same thing. I was like, oh my God, this is like a whole thing. I didn't even know. Like, so when I found out all this stuff, I was like, wow, this is where I should be. These are my people. Like, I didn't even know, guys, you know, where have you been all my life? And so I'm here. Thanks to the big leap, it made me, this is my big leap. It made me kind of step out of my comfort zone, do something different. Just, you know, boom, here I am. So read this book. If you know that yourself, that you kind of fall back to doing the easy thing or just trying to kind of fade into the background, or you'll get something exciting and then allow yourself to be taken back and not to like, oh, I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't, you know, read this book. It's going to get your whole self. It's going to get you together. Okay. Just read the book. And then, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I don't think I'm saying this name right, and I'm sorry if I'm not. Charged to my head, not my heart, because I'm not trying to, maybe charged to my heart and not my head, since I can't say it right. The Silent Patient. Now, I read this the end of November, but I'm sticking this one in here just because it was good. Y'all, this is this painter. She kills her husband, and, you know, she just stops talking. Excuse me. So she goes through this whole trial, and they basically put her in a crazy house. Like, she's lost her mind. She won't speak. She's not giving any information, you know, whatever. Y'all, it's so many twists and turns in this book. And apparently this is not like a new book. So if you're watching this, you probably already read it. But if you have not read it and you like a little bit of suspense, because this one, and I will say this, it started out slow, and I started to give up on it like 2 or 3 times. And I was like, man, this book is lame. Like, let's get to it. Like, what is the hold up? Because the main character, he's like a shrink or whatever, a psychiatrist or something. And he's like, oh, I'm going to make this artist my patient because I want to know what's going on in her mind, why she's not talking. I want to be the one that's going to make her talk. Y'all. He's like, he does all of these things. He got issues at home with his own wife, and he says that she's cheating on him, and he follows her. She is, spoiler alert, she is cheating on him, but he is so focused now on this other woman, this patient, and he's just like doing everything he can to get in her face, have these private times with her. He's trying to ask her questions. He's being like what you would expect the perfect psychiatrist to be, that he's so concerned with his patient, and it's so important to him to find out and to kind of break that shield that she has up. Y'all, towards the end of the book, here's the tea. Here's the spoiler alert. Here is the tea. He is the one. He did it. He the one. It's like the book is a circle. Okay. So you're like going back in time, and then you're going present. And so you come to find out that he, I don't want to tell the whole thing. Oh my God. He is the one that killed her husband. But you got to figure out, you got to understand why or how it happened. So it's a whole circle. I don't even know if I'm gonna leave that in there. But y'all, this is the tea. The book was good. I didn't think it was gonna be good. I thought it was trash, like until about halfway through and stuff. In my mind, it was like my mind woke up, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now what happened? So what now? Here's the tea. What? It's good. All the stories become intertwined, and you see why. And stuff just goes awry, and it's worth the read. If you started it and put it down, pick it back up. It's worth the read. Just check it out. Just check it out. All right, that's it for December. That was the December recap, review, whatever. For January, I have a few books. I have like 8 books that I'm gonna possibly read. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all of these. This is my